Spiritual living. My name is Joy Lynn, and I am a licensed spiritual practitioner. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and you are welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I swept the hearth and lit the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before you. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink of the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. Ernest Holmes, 1926. It is my honor to welcome each of you for our sacred time together this evening. Those of you joining virtually, please say hello in the chat feed and let us know where you are tuning in from. We are blessed by your presence. I am the practitioner of the week this week, so please join me for spirit calls at 9 a.m. each morning and a text message of inspiration at 6 p.m. Our theme today is Do You, as we continue our series, The Way of Transformation. Please join me in speaking our mission statement. We are love in action, transforming lives, transforming communities. Let us begin today's precious and divine time together in prayer. Knowing there is only one life, that life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Knowing that to be truth for me, I know that to be truth for each and every one of you. As we bring our attention to our heart space, that place where God resides, that place where love lives, we know that we are here by divine appointment. We have come here to share time, space, love, peace together. And so as this service unfolds, as this time together and gathering unfolds, what I know for sure is that our hearts are connected, even more so in this moment than the moment we walked in. And so with that, I invite you to anchor this in prayer with me, knowing that everything is unfolding in divine perfection by saying, and so it is. It is our prayer time. For those of you online, please put a candle emoji or your prayer request in your comment section. For those of you here in person, you may come up the middle aisle. There are 2 places to light candles. If you choose to speak your prayer request, you may do so at the microphone to my left.
Please light a candle for Erica Koplow.
We are lighting a candle for Ben Clark.
A candle for Carmen for perfect health.
I'd like to, I said a prayer for my daughter who is taking off tonight on a trip to go all the way out to Washington to see a former parishioner who is very ill. So I just want to bless her on her way and that she has a safe and wonderful trip.
And so it is. A prayer request for Charlotte Halber, recovering from a stroke.
Please light a candle for Scott Hansen. He says, please pray for a healthy pregnancy for his wife and their new daughter-to-be.
Excuse me. I'd like to have prayer for my cousin's family. He passed away of Alzheimer's. He was 63. And then my step nephew passed away of a heart attack at age 55. Just bless his family, bless my family. Love you all.
Love you
And so
too,
it is.
Stephen. Amen. So it is. Please light a candle for Michelle Ratliff for physical healing and guidance.
A prayer request for Kenneth and Tammy Talbot.
Candle for health for Bill Heath. Candle for Ruth for health and healing.
We're lighting a candle for Karen Horobachek for perfect health. I'd like to acknowledge our High Watch practitioners, Ben and Joanna Clark, and our altar hosts, Alvin and Louise.
JD Falk would like us to light a candle for all his children.
I'd like to say a prayer for our city and for the country as we are going to be facing elections soon. And I hope that we can handle the results and allow whatever the divine's will is to be done.
Amen. So it is. Thank you, Molly. All right, so just breathing into all that love, we anchor these prayers in the one mind, knowing the source of love that we are made of, that we live and move and have our being within, and knowing that our prayers are already heard and already answered the moment they're spoken and the moment that they're held within our hearts. So we give thanks. We give thanks for oneness. We give thanks for infinite love, for answered prayer, and for knowing that we are always held in the arms of the divine. Amen, and so it is.
Amen, and so it is.
So we're now moving into our sacred reading time. I'm going to do a little mic switch here real quick. So I'm practitioner Clarissa Crow, and I have a little sacred reading for you guys this evening. I have this new recovery book that's called A Spiritual Principle a Day. I love it very much. And this is an excerpt from October 19th. Creative expression takes many forms. Creativity is not just about art or music. It can be that spontaneous, kind gesture we do for another human being. We learn that it doesn't cost a thing to carry our passion for living with us wherever we go. Letting our intuition guide our creative acts of kindness is an art in itself. And that made me think of this Albert Einstein quote. Einstein was so much more spiritual than a lot of people realize. He said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." And then Shirley Desai writes this: "Our creativity is our unique gift to the world. When we take time to communicate with others, share ideas, voice concerns, produce works of art, or create new equations or dance routines, all of these have beneficial quality that affects people around us. Small contributions of creativity can produce a ripple effect that may be far-reaching beyond anything the originator could have ever imagined. A favorite recipe might find its way into millions of kitchens. An act of kindness tends to get passed on. In some instances, these contributions affect entire populations. And I'll close with this quote from Virginia Woolf. Odd how the creative power at once brings the whole universe together. Thank you.
Thank you, Clarissa. Oh, hello, beloveds. What a joy it is to be with you this evening. And beloveds online, I'm so glad you're here. I want to share this concept that Clarissa was just reading about. So this creativity, how many people consider themselves creative? I love my peoples. Yes, this teaching tends to draw the creatives, but a lot of people in the world don't see themselves as creative. A lot of people in the world see themselves as, I'm not an artist. I can't draw, I can't dance, I can't sing, I can't craft, I can't make things, so I'm not creative. But the kind of creativity, as Clarissa was talking about, is beyond making stuff. And in this teaching, it's really about getting into conscious relationship. Lori Martinez in the house. Getting into conscious relationship with the creative power of the divine. And recognizing that that power is living within you and rising uniquely within you. Howard Thurman, one of my favorite theologians and teachers, and was a civil rights advisor to Martin Luther King Jr., said, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is a bunch of people who have come alive. And I would take that a step further. That the world needs each one of us to come alive, but it needs us to come alive because we each have a vital thread in the tapestry of life. Every single one of us has a critical role to play in this thing called life. And when you and I are not showing up as our uniquely, divinely gifted self in the world, that thread isn't in the tapestry in the way that it could be the most beneficial to the whole. So when Howard Thurman says the world needs people who have come alive, I think this is what he's talking about. I think he's talking about the unique, on-purpose contribution that you have to make. And I know I hear a lot these days about, I don't know what is mine to do, and there's so much jacked up in the world, and it just doesn't feel like I can have an impact or anything that I could do could matter. Anybody? Anybody struggling with that one? And yet what I'm saying is, kind of like this mosaic behind me, every single one of those squares has a role to play in the creation of that image, yes? And do we get to decide this square has more importance than this square? Or this square has more importance than this square? Or this one's bigger, so this one is less important? That doesn't get to be whole without each one of those squares doing their role. Right? That mosaic becomes an incomplete picture if we start taking out the squares that make it up. The fabric of life itself has an incomplete experience of itself when you withhold your light from us. That's how important you are. And that's how important your gifts are. I find in these conversations a lot, we tend to go to this idea that, your thing could just be like you could smile at people. That could be your thing. Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not. That's all of our thing. That's all of our thing. Kindness and generosity, that's all of our thing. We all have a way to contribute compassion and kindness and generosity into this thing called life. But you have been brought here with an absolutely uniquely shaped gift to give. And there is not another possibility, because one of the ideas and spiritual laws that we believe and teach here at the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living is omnipresence of the divine. Omnipresence, big word, which simply means that the divine is everywhere at all times, never missing. Yes, can we all get on board with that? So if the divine is everywhere, present at all times, never missing, then it is present in you right now. And do you feel like the divine is too small to make an impact? No. Do you believe the divine is confused and talentless? Then you are not those things either. That is not one of the possibilities. It means that the divine, in all of its brilliance, said, wow, I need to marry Diaguero to be born on this day at this time, in this place, because she has a unique expression of my nature that needs to arrive into life itself. And every single one of us has that. Even if you are an identical twin, you have a unique expression of the divine to bring to life through your living. And if that is so, if you are uniquely shaped, so is your gift. And I believe we have a responsibility to know our gifting and to bring it. That is what Howard Thurman was talking about. The world needs you alive in your particular way. I've been studying a lot lately at this idea of emergent strategy. It's actually my jam right now. But the idea is that change, systemic change, global change, societal change, is a result of particulars. These micro movements that then create this larger change. And I think we get stuck and overwhelmed when we're seeing the change that is needed in this macro way. Yeah? Anybody? You look at the world and you think, I got nothing. Right? Like I just like washing my hands, right? But what's exciting when we look to the natural world, when we look to biology, which is a huge piece of this idea behind emergent strategy, we see that these epic things, like the turning of the planet we live on, the changing of seasons, rely upon these micro, particular interactions. And you and I, as micro and particular, have a role to play. And this change that we envision as a world that works for all. Justice, and my favorite definition of justice is Cornel West, it's what love looks like in public. All of those epic changes you and I want to see are dependent on you and I and our particular gift to give to the world. Even if it seems itty-bitty. Even if it seems like my particular gift are the peonies that I steward so beautifully in my garden. My particular gift may be the neighborhood association that I show up as love to on a regular basis. My particular may be that I am really gifted at recognizing relationship harmony and bringing that forward as a counselor. And we all have particular gifts. And even, because I've been having a lot of conversations with some of my elders in this community, even as you are in the second half of life and you think you don't have much left to contribute, or you think nobody wants what you have to contribute. Anybody? Yes, raise your hand. Even when you think that your gifts are no longer relevant because technology or because young people and the way they listen to music. Whatever you have story around, what do we know about God? Omnipresent, even in the cell phone. Right? Never missing. That's all right. Somebody needs to talk to you, Connie Jo. So if the divine is omnipresent and never missing, it can't be missing the whole second half of your life. Is the divine ever irrelevant? No. And so you and I get to consider that whatever story we tell about our giftedness and what we have to offer, and there are so many stories because I hear them, maybe, is it possible that telling a story that I don't have something to give, or I can't make impact, or I'm not strong enough, or I'm not creative, or whatever the story is it possible that that's an expression of fear? Is it possible that it's an expression of my not enoughness story, which is also an untrue story? And so if those are untrue stories, and if fear is simply a feeling and has no substance, because what do we know about emotions? They are energy in motion. And if energy is in motion, then it can't stay. It's always shifting, it's always changing, which means feel the fear and let it transform. Don't allow it to have a reality that is untrue, much like all the other untrue stories we tell ourselves. So I want to share with you from Stephen Nachmanovich from his book Free Play. He says that the imagination is our true self and is in fact the living, creating God within us. The living, creating God within us. And not like some of us, all of us. Everything that is in manifest form on this planet right now began in someone's imagination. Every system, every structure, every law. And if that is true in manifest reality, and we imagined something into being that now we're looking at it and like, no. That could look different. That could be better. This could serve people in a better way. This is not serving us. So what does that mean about our imagination for those of us alive on the planet right now? What do you and I get to do? Shout it. Imagine something better. I would love to imagine quieter mufflers. I know they exist. Somebody's mind's got that answer. Imagine something better. It literally starts with you and I getting into greater relationship with the impulse of love, which is synonymous with that divine imagination that you and I each have. My favorite quote in The Science of Mind, coming from Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, is love points the way. Law makes the way happen. We do not need to worry about what the spiritual universe, how metaphysics actually work. You and I don't actually need to busy ourselves with that at all. You and I need to get in relationship with the impulse of love in our being that is pointing the way. I was in a group with a BIPOC group sometime during COVID, and we were having a conversation about what are the solutions, right? What are solutions that actually may serve an experience of greater love, greater justice in this country? And one of the women in the group said, I don't believe the idea has come yet. We are waiting for someone's consciousness to expand, for someone's discernment to be deep enough and wide enough and great enough for that impulse of love to point them towards the solutions we are longing for. And I really thought, wow, I think she might be right. Because the solutions we long for are not the ones we see yet. And the way that I know God gets here is through the impulse of love rising in me, the impulse of love rising in you, the impulse of love pointing someone to a new idea, imagining a new way of being, rather than continuing to reiterate these ways of being that clearly no longer serve, maybe never served. I was in another workshop recently with Lama Rod Owens, and he was talking about, for him, one of the growing edges of really bringing into form a world that works for everyone would require us to dream beyond iteration. And I was like, whoa. You mean we have to stop repeating and tweaking, thinking we've done something new? Like moving the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. And the only way I know to bring new forward is through that impulse of love, is through the divine imagination that is in your mind, in your mind, in your mind. That's how important your thread in the tapestry is. That is what creativity makes possible. I want to share again. The imagination is our true self, the living, creating God within us. I think if we could allow that to seep into our known experience a little further, to give value and weight to the ideas that jump in your mind. How many of you have an idea and think, oh, that's crazy? Anybody? Yeah. What if it was crazy and a really great idea? What if it's the idea that we've all been waiting for? The solution we've been longing for might be that crazy ass idea you have that rose in you from your divine nature. I mean, there have been some crazy ideas, y'all. I mean, we're one of the places in the world that has a hot air balloon festival annually. Somebody thought, I'm going to get in a basket and float in the sky with hot air. You don't think the first person who had that idea didn't seem crazy? And now it brings people together annually from all over the world. We need some crazy ideas. The creative power at once brings the whole universe together, was the Virginia Woolf quote that Clarissa shared. The creative power at once and instantaneously in the quantum, right? When a creative idea that has juice and conviction, and then someone acts on that idea and brings it into form at once in a single instant, has connected the entire universe together in that moment. It's like the finishing square going into this piece, right? That piece was not a thing until the last square went in. And then all of a sudden, a whole thing now exists that did not exist before. Your thread in the fabric does that. When you decide, I am now willing to bring my aliveness, my unique giftedness to the wholeness is more whole. It's a metaphysical truth. It's a spiritual truth that is dependent on you. And I don't think we take seriously the gift it is to be alive, the gift it is to have breath in our bodies, that you and I have been chosen by divine appointment to be here as a divine expression. That is not an accident. That is no small thing. But when you act like you are some small thing, you do a disservice to the rest of us. You doing you may be the very thing that inspires me or someone else to do that authentic thing that is mine to do. You doing you allows for a greater experience of aliveness that is contagious. From our books, The 15 Commitment, when you're in your zone of genius, you spend your time doing what you love, what you're uniquely gifted to do. All sense of time disappears, and these activities may actually feel like nothing. I'll share with you in my journey. As a young woman, I was obsessed with singers and artists and dancers and all of them, and all the good parts and the ugly parts and the stories of woe. I mean, Billie Holiday and was like my hero, Maya Angelou, right? Jim Morrison from The Doors, like I was going to go see his grave in Paris, right? All of those things were wildly inspiring to me as a young woman. And so I was quite sure, and I could sing. So I was quite sure my gifting, the thing I was here to do, was sing. And so I pursued that and had some fun doing it, traveled the world, sang on some stages, had a blast, lived the dream, until I realized it was wildly unsatisfying to me. But how could that be? I can sing. How could this not be the thing? Until I discovered my ability to talk nonstop without I need no calories to do it. I can talk anybody's ear off about anything all the time, all day long, all night long, no sleep, no food, nothing necessary. And it feels like nothing. It is innately in me to do. How could that be a thing? Talking. How could that be a thing? It never occurred to me once in my whole young life that talking could be a life thing. I mean, I looked at counseling for a little while, but I was like, I don't want to talk to one person in a room for an hour. That would bore me to tears. But discovering that, oh, wait a minute, there's this thing that I do that costs me nothing, that is effortless. And I'm pretty sure the divine always knows what it's doing. And the unique shaping of me and the unique shaping of you. And so what I am going to ask each one of you to do is to consider what your unique shape, your unique gift to give may be. And my favorite way to come at it, and there are so many ways, and so there are books and webinars and all the things, right, to discover your gift, find your passion, your zone of genius, all the things. But I've recently learned one from Adrienne Marie Brown, who is the founder of the Emergent Strategy Ideation Institute, which I've been doing some study with. And she calls it the sweet spot. And it's really, really simple. It is where passion, skill, and need overlap. Your passion is that thing I was just talking about. You just do a thing, and it costs you nothing. It is effortless. It just comes naturally. It is your thing. And some of us have a lot of things. But what I have discovered over the years is I'm a much better talker than singer. And it's the truth. And people are like, nah, you're a really good singer. And I'm like, nah, not as good as I talk. It's not. And we can have a lot of things that we're good and even excellent at. But are they juicy and are they passion-filled for you? That you could spend days and nights and weeks and months effortlessly engaged in this thing. That's your passion. The next piece of the sweet spot is, are you willing to master it? Do you get excited about learning more about it, about honing your craft, about taking classes, about spending hours, about learning from people who maybe are better at it than you at this? Is it something you want to become masterful at? As I would say, is it your jam? Do you want to give money and resources and time to developing this thing? And thirdly, going back to Howard Thurman's quote, what the world needs is you to come alive, is what need does your passion and skill meet? I think over the years, like, do what you love and the money will follow, and all the things, right? The zone of genius. We forget this really critical piece of need. That quote of Howard Thurman gets used a lot. Like, don't worry about anything, just figure out what makes you come alive and do that. But then they forget about the part of the sentence that says what the world needs. The purpose of you coming alive and giving that gift is to meet need in the world. And when those three things overlap, now you've hit the sweet spot. And I think it's worthwhile to do the work, to do the labor involved of answering those three things in your life with what is surrounding you now. Because you are here by divine appointment on purpose. There is no other possibility. So one of the things you are not allowed to do over this next week is talk about why you can't do this. Three things: passion, skill, need. And I don't care what chapter you are in your life. I don't care what your career has been. Answer those three things now, in this moment, who you are in this place. What are the needs? What's the need in your family? What's the need in your neighborhood? What's the need in your community? What's the need in your city? Which means we have to be willing to approach this thing called life, this gift called life, eyes wide open. willing to bring our full imagination and giftedness to the reality that you and I belong to, this one life. So that's the homework. You get to decide what lights you up, what brings you alive, that you are willing to give time, energy, and resource to, and how does it fulfill a need in your circle of influence? It's probably not going to be in the Ukraine. It's probably not going to be in the Middle East or the Horn of Africa. Could be. I mean, I recently met somebody who needed to get on a plane and flew to Ukraine. Okay. Follow that impulsive love. But for most of us, it's here right now. One last time. The creative power at once brings the whole universe together. So in your divinely, uniquely shaped creative power, that impulsive love rising in you, think about that for a moment, that your particular gift and givingness to this life, connected to, look around the room, just maybe these people who say a holy sacred yes today. Look around the room. Imagine each one of us finding our sweet spot this week. And how our neighborhoods and community would be changed by that. Turn around and look at the camera behind you up on the ceiling. And what I want you to know is there's about 300 people who are going to watch this over the next few weeks. And think about their sweet spot being found. And the igniting that begins to happen, the whole universe coming together in this particular way. Is anybody else like, wow? Yeah. So if you are a holy sacred yes to that, let us pray in. What I know about the one, about this absolute whole universe, is that it is good. It is harmony, it is joy, it is wonder, it is awe. It is peace. It is blessing. It is infinite moving towards a greater and greater expression of its good. That is the nature of the divine. That is the nature of the universe that you and I have been appointed to participate in, to weave our unique thread through this life here and now. And because I know the universe is always moving for good, for ever greater expression of good, I know that that is exactly what you and I are up to. And I know because as I watch the continual unfoldment of life, of your aliveness, of my aliveness, all I see is growing good, growing love, growing connection, through the wonderful ideas sprouting from the center of your being and my being. And so I know that the more attention I give to it, the more attention you give to it, the more is able to sprout. The more you and I are able to bring our aliveness to this movement for good. I can't think of anything more important to be up to right now. And I am grateful. I am grateful to be up to that good with you. And so I just let it be. I let it blossom. I let it sprout. I let it shape and morph in messy and chaotic and beautiful ways. All moving for good. Anchor this with me in prayer. Amen. And so it is.
Okay, loves, we are going to do a little anchoring into our sacred divine I amness with a song. So if you'd like to stand, if you don't want to stand, it's okay, but you're going to have lyrics on the screen first for singing along with this chant, but it's meditative, so do what feels best to you. Affirming your beauty and your abundance and your joy and the divine truth of who we each are, who you each are. I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. I am the light of my soul, I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. I am the light of my soul, I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. I am the light of my soul, I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. I am the light of my soul, I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. I am, 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 I am. 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 I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am. I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am, I am. Thank you.
Clarissa in the house. Thank you for that beautiful song and chant. And I invite you to carry that with you when the fear gets strong, When the doubt rises, be chanting that great I am to yourself. We're moving into our time of giving. I will remind you, there's a screen again behind you, but we have a few ways to give. You can text to give by texting 505-847-8431. Click to give on our website, abqcsl.org, and you can take a picture of the QR code and give that way as well. And one of the things I invite you to give to this week is we are moving into a time of contemplation and decision-making and co-creating together the next chapter in this community. And I know it seems like it's just been an ongoing time of change, and it has. And it's not going to be over yet. So what are the things that I want you to understand in this time of change? One, as the Buddhists say, there is no ground. So if you keep waiting to get your feet on the ground, there's no ground. Change is always happening. It is the nature of our manifest reality. So relax in that. Let go of any urgency you feel around it. And I invite you to get involved in it. Be a change shaper with myself and our leadership team. The leadership team and I will be meeting actually with an off-site retreat with an consultant, David, from Healthy Leadership in mid-November. And as we move into that process, the council will be sending out some questions that they would really, really love your input on. And so be looking for that in your email. That's going to be the simplest way to participate. So the 7 of you who are going to come and talk to me or call me later about how you don't do email, I'm going to invite you to do email. Okay? That is how we get to best hear from the most of you as we move into these decision-making processes, which will include our staffing and budget and programmatic structure for next year. Following November, we will dive into another set of conversations in this community where we will begin to really look at, like, what is it that we actually want to accomplish together? Who do we want to serve together? And I'm really looking forward to being able to get into some juicy discussion with you, and it will take time, and it will take money. And so I invite you to participate in that in whatever way that you can over the next week and months. It will likely take us into the spring of next year, this process. So thank you for your participation and your presence and your imagination. Love you.
Our abundance is showing. We have a few announcements. Please visit us at abqcsl.org to view our calendar of events and find all the ways that you can join us. Please sign up for our newsletter and to receive daily morning spirit calls and evening affirmations. You're also invited to go to the About Us section of the website to choose a practitioner to pray with. If you would like our practitioners and ministers to hold you in prayer during the week, please email or fill out a prayer request in the physical, but you can email to prayer@abqcsl.org. And you can fill out a form in person just out at the table just outside of the sanctuary. For those of you in the Albuquerque area, please join us this Friday at 5:30 in the Memorial Hall just across the way for a fun costume party, music, bring a dish to share if you choose, on this Friday at 5:30. Next Sunday, please join us for our monthly membership class and community potluck. Yay! Finally, we get to have some time together. You can join the membership class on Zoom or in person, and the details are in our weekly newsletter. Please join me at this time in today's affirmation. Today, I embrace incredible, fabulous, spectacular, unique, wonderful me. Now, please join me for our closing song.
Living in love, I'm living in peace, living my life for what I believe. Through joys and through tears, in this world I walk. God's grace shines on me, and it shines on us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. Living in love. We're living in peace. United we stand as one family. We honor all truth as together we walk. God's grace moves through me and it moves through us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace.
Almost talked about
We
you.
are living in grace. We are living in grace. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful week. We love you. Know that we do have a donation table out here in the foyer and prayer request boxes and practitioners that'll be over